Hello everyone. I hope yesterday the chapter which we started, the Vedic Age, half part is clear to you. Yesterday we have started the Vedic Age in which we have covered the introduction of that chapter. In that chapter we saw that how Aryans came in India and how they settled in India, where they settled in India, and we also saw the sources of the Vedic Age. According to the sources, we are having two parts, early Vedic age and later Vedic age. Now today, with that help of same sources, we are going to study about their lifestyle, their culture, society, economic life, and the education system of it. So let's begin it. Now, talking about the society of the Vedic period, first point which we are going to discuss is about the family. The family structure was almost the same as in early Vedic age and later Vedic age. They followed the joint family system where the eldest male member was the head of the family. His decision, his orders were followed, or it was, you can say, it was binding on all the members of the family. The only difference which the Vedas shows is the position of the women's. The position of the women in the early Vedic age and later Vedic age was totally different. Now, dear students, when you will look into this chart, you'll find the position of the women in the early Vedic age and later Vedic age. In early Vedic age, they were respected more compared to the later Vedic age. In early Vedic age, they got the equal treatment compared to men, whereas here they were only considered inferior to men. They did not got the rights as the men got. In early Vedic age, this is the very important point, they got the education. They were having the right to take education, Vedic texts, they could recite hymns and so on. They also had the freedom to choose their husband. Okay, the system was called as Swayamvara. They could take part in the assembly, sabha, and the samiti as well, and they can give their suggestion. That was the right of the women in the early Vedic age. They took part in the religious rituals that was done in the later Vedic age also. But again, one of the important factor is that sati system, parda system, child marriage, all these evil practices were started into later Vedic age. There was nothing like that into early Vedic age. Now, in this chart, you can also see the changes where which happened into later Vedic age compared to the position of the women. Women's lost their position into the later Vedic compared to the early Vedic age. The next important point in the society is about the caste division, or we can also call it as class division. Now, how did they came? How they were followed into early Vedic age and later Vedic age? There was huge difference in this as well. Now, talking about the society was divided into four parts: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Now, these four classes were called as by the different name in both the era. Now, if you will see here in this chart, the early Vedic age, the four classes were known as fourfold Varna system. Varna. Actually, the Varna system, the word Varna was taken from the Sanskrit word that is Varan. Varan means the occupation. It is related to the occupation. It was flexible in nature, that is, anyone can choose any Varna based on his occupation. Okay, suppose in Brahmin's child can take the Varna of Kshatriya, he can be warrior, so he will be called as Kshatriya. His own son can be a trader, so he'll be coming into the Vaishyas community. So we can say that in early Vedic age, the society was flexible where there was no rigid system. Anyone could marry anyone. But in later Vedic age, the system was totally different. The same fourfold Varna system became the four caste That was Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, four castes. Now, here in the later Vedic age, it was totally based on birth. Kshatriya's son will be called as Kshatriya, Brahmin's son will be called as Brahmin, and Vaishya's son will be called as Vaishya, Shudra's son will be called as Sudra. And it was not flexible at all. In early Vedic age, four Varnas were treated equally. Everyone was treated equally. But in later Vedic age, the position of the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas were higher compared to the Vaishyas, and Shudras were considered at last position, where they could not take education. They were only born to work as per the belief of the society in later Vedic age. One very important concept in the society developed in later Vedic period, that was the ashramas. Four ashramas. Now these four ashramas were called as the stages of life. When a person is born, his life was divided into four categories. Now what were their four categories? Looking into this chart, we can see the four ashramas. The first ashrama was Brahmacharya. After that, it was Grihastha ashram. The third stage of life or ashrama was Vanaprastha ashram, and the fourth one was Sannyasa. Now, in Brahmacharya, that was the first stage of life. The students will go to Gurukul, they will take education, and after they complete their education, they will live into Grihastha ashram. That is, they will marry and they will make their family and they will live the family life. After completing the family life, the person will move to the third ashram, that is Vanaprastha, where he will leave his house and he will go into the forest and will live there. Mostly he will spend his time in prayer and meditation. The fourth stage or the fourth ashram is sannyasa, where the person will continue to stay in the forest and he will give all the worldly pleasure. He has nothing to do with the world and he will live as a sannyasi. Now, this ashram system was totally followed into later Vedic age. It has nothing to do with early Vedic age. There was no such concept into the early Vedic age. Talking about the education system, Gurukul system was very much prevalent in both the ages, both the eras, but it was the later Vedic age where the education system or the Gurukul system developed on the larger scale. Comparatively to early Vedic age, in later Vedic age, the Gurukul system was more organized, more subjects were included, and there was totally revolution in the education system. Whereas in early Vedic age, mostly the education was taught orally. In later Vedic age, most of the Vedas and the Samhitas were composed, which we have already seen in the previous video. Now, talking about the Gurukul system once again, students lived in Gurukul. That is, Gurukul means house of the teacher, where the students will go to the teacher's house and they will stay there till they complete their education. The subjects which were taught were Vedic literature, of course, that was the era. Apart from that, secular subjects, some other subjects were logic, ethics, astronomy, astrology, mathematics, law, military sciences were the subjects taught. Here in the Gurukul, rich and poor students stayed together. Here, rich and poor, they were living together, they were doing the work, they were taking the education, playing together. There was no difference in the Gurukul system of their caste. Okay, basically, we have already discussed that Shudras were not allowed to take the education, so don't forget that point. Students did all the duties given to them to run the Gurukul. Teacher was giving the duty, gurus were giving the duties or assigning the work to them. They were not giving their personal work. Let me be very clear, they were not giving their personal work to do, only the work which was uh, done to run the Gurukul, like farming, tending cattle, gather fuel like wood and to burn, etc. They used to also collect the alms from the nearby villages. Okay, they clean the Gurukul, and this kind of a small work was done by the students. The purpose behind them was to make the students self dependent. Okay, after completion of the education, there was no fee structure, but Guru Dakshina was very much common. Now, what is this Guru Dakshina? Guru Dakshina was anything which is been given to the gurus or the teachers from the students, by the students, and it can be as per the wish of the student, and it can be as per the wish of the teacher as well. But the teachers usually demanded, the gurus usually took whatever was the capacity of the students. Like we are having one example of Mahabharata as well, like Guru Dakshina. When Dronacharya gave the education to the Arjun and the Pandavas, he had only demanded that this his students will defeat his own friend Drupad. Okay, that was the Guru Dakshina which he asked. I think that was an interesting story, I guess. Now, this was the structure of Gurukul system. The last point in the social life and the society which we are going to discuss is about the economic life. Of course, when we are discussing about the economy, their main occupation, trading, and other factors will include in this. Talking about the economic life into early Vedic age and later Vedic age, the occupation in early Vedic age was domestication of animals. Agriculture was the main occupation. In addition to this, apart from agriculture and domestication of animals, leather working, carpentry, making of jewelries, glass work, making chariot, this were occupation added. Talking about the crops, yava, okay, and the form of barley that was grown into early Vedic age. In addition to this, rice that was called as vrihi, wheat, millet, sugarcane, and the other crops were also grown. Trade was not so popular, but whatever system was there into trading, barter system was used for trading purpose. Into later Vedic age, the trade was practiced more because the occupation which had increased, so people were very happy, or for their own development they wanted to exchange the good and sell their products made by them. So trade was very much popular into later Vedic age, or we can call it as a development into the trade of later Vedic period. In later Vedic age, Nishka and Satmana were the two types of coins which were used as a unit, standard unit for a trading system and for buying and selling of the goods. Where else? Guilds. Guild means association. Like in the common modern day, we are having association for different organization like traders, farmers, and other things. So guilds were there to check the price and the quality of the goods. With this, I hope that you're clear with the concept of social life and economic life of Vedic period. To recap the entire chapter, I leave you with a small video. Watch it till the end.
Society in the Vedic period. In this module, you will learn about the society in the Vedic period. The Vedic period refers to the age when the Vedas were being composed by the Aryans, who had migrated to the Indian subcontinent from Central Asia. The Vedic age ranges roughly from about mid-2nd to mid-1st millennium BC. The information about the Vedic age is largely obtained from the four Vedas, Rigveda, Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda, along with other allied Vedic literature. These literary works provide immense information about the political, social, economic, religious and cultural life of the people of the Vedic period. The Vedic age is divided into two: the early Vedic period from BC 1500 to BC 1000 and the later Vedic period from BC 1000 to BC 600. There is a difference in the life of the people during these two stages. Let us look at the social conditions prevalent during the Vedic age in detail. The Rigveda, the most archaic of the four Vedas, provides a vivid insight into the society of the early Vedic period. In the early Vedic period, or the Rigveda times, the Aryan families lived in villages. Society in the early Vedic period was basically semi-nomadic in nature. The patriarchal system was followed, with the oldest male member being the head of the family, or the Grihpati, or Kulpati. The son of the Grihpati took over his father's responsibilities after his father's death. Position of women. Women were given due respect in the early Vedic age. Daughters at the age of 16 or 17 were allowed to choose their husbands. Widow remarriage was permitted and child marriage did not exist. Women could participate in yajna and perform sacrifices. They participated in public assemblies. There were several women scholars like Lopamudra, Visvavara, Ghosha, Sikata, Nivavari and Apala. However, this situation changed with the transition to the later Vedic period. In the later Vedic period, society became very complex and the status of women declined. Women were no longer allowed to choose their husbands. They were not allowed to participate in yajnas and they did not have the right to property either. Social divisions. In the early Vedic period, there was a basic class division in the society. The early Aryans called the local inhabitants Dasyus and did not mingle with them. Social inequalities were created with the tribal chiefs and priests amassing wealth. The tribal society was divided into three groups: the priests, the warriors and the common people. The fourth group, called Shudras, appeared only towards the end of the Rigvedic period. However, on the whole, the tribal society was egalitarian in nature. The early Vedic society was characterized by occupational mobility. People could choose and change their jobs. However, with the passage of time, occupations became hereditary, resulting in the formation of occupational classes. The class system that emerged in the early Vedic period developed into the rigid and immobile caste system by the later Vedic period. In the later Rigvedic period, there were four distinct castes: the Brahmins with their priestly duties, the Kshatriyas or the warriors, the Vaishyas or the business class, and the Shudras, the lowest class. In the later Vedic period, this caste system became extremely rigid. The Brahmins began to be considered as gods on earth and the Kshatriyas the rulers. The three upper classes qualified for Upnayan or investiture with a sacred thread according to the Vedic mantras. Intercaste marriages were not allowed. The four ashrams. In the Vedic period, family traditions influenced a person's life and upbringing. The division of the lifespan of an Aryan into four Vedic periods or stages was done in the later Vedic period. The first stage was the Brahmacharya stage, which was the period of education and discipline. The second was the Grihastha stage, referring to marriage and family life. The third stage, Vanaprastha stage, was for an attempt to gain spiritual and philosophical knowledge, and the fourth, Sannyasa stage, meant renunciation. Education. In the Vedic period, students were nurtured at Gurukuls, or the home of the Guru, who was much revered. The Gurukuls were often situated in the outskirts of the city and even in the forests. The students resided at the Gurukul and were expected to learn the Vedas and take care of the surroundings. The aim of this education system was to develop the physical, mental, and the spiritual qualities in the student. The main subjects included the Vedas, Puranas, grammar, mathematics, ethics, logic, and military science. Maitreyi and Gargi were two women teachers who were considered to be gifted and were greatly respected. Food, dress, and ornaments. Yava or barley was the staple cereal diet of the Aryans, while rice was consumed only later. Milk and milk products were also consumed. During festivals and ceremonies, soma, an intoxicating drink, was served. The clothing of the Vedic people mainly consisted of an undergarment or the nivi, dhoti, a shirt or the vasa, and a loose overgarment or the adhivasa. Men kept long hair and wore turban. Sadhus often wore deer skins or mrigachhal. Both men and women adorned themselves with jewellery. Entertainment consisted of chariot racing, horse races, dancing, singing, and hunting. The people participated in competitive sports, festivals, and gambling. They played musical instruments such as the drum, flute, mridang, and lute. Let's recall what we have learnt. In the early Vedic period, families lived in villages. The oldest male member of the family or grihapati was the head of the family. Women enjoyed an esteemed position in the early Vedic period. The early Vedic period, with its nomadic and tribal population, had class distinctions but not caste distinctions. In the later Vedic period, there were distinct castes: Brahmins, priestly class; Kshatriyas, warriors; Vaishyas, the tradesmen; and the lower caste, the Shudras, who served the upper castes. In the later Vedic period, the lifespan of man was divided into 4 ashrams: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Education was provided at Gurukuls by the revered Guru. Barley, rice, milk products, and soma were consumed by the Aryan people. The Aryans wore simple clothes and jewelry. They enjoyed music, competitive sports, festivals, and gambling.